Hi YouTube, my name is Yusuf and you are watching my news channel. Let's take a look at today's space weather conditions. When we look at the solar wind, we see a slight increase in solar wind speed. Also a little bump in density, but other than that, and a little bit of negative BZ over here in red, not much going on really. The only thing worth mentioning is actually a coronal from which solar wind stream will reach us the 16th or the 17th, and that's only Friday or Saturday of next week. When we look at the Enlil spiral, let's go to the 11th from today. We see that we actually exit this solar wind stream, this dense solar wind stream, and we are again going into an area of low density. This can be seen here. So not much going on. Same thing with the speed, I believe. Yes, the speed, as you can see, will drop. Wait, this is over here. Yes, it will drop and then increase slightly over the days until we reach actually the solar wind speed from the coronal hole itself, and I do expect it to ramp up to 500 or 600 kilometers a second when that happens. There's actually something worth mentioning, however. This is actually a new moon happening tomorrow. A new moon basically means the moon is in front of Earth and the sun, and it actually blocks the connection between the sun and the Earth. This can potentially be dangerous, especially once the connection is re-established between the sun and the Earth. This could increase earthquake activity, volcanic activity, but also strengthen existing weather systems. But I don't believe this will be, even if it happens, major, because there is actually no space weather conditions to begin with. But still, I thought this was worth mentioning. New moons are always dangerous. And speaking of earthquakes, when we look today at the earthquakes, there really isn't much going on. If we look at the newest earthquakes, we only see a few 4-pointers. That's about it. This is actually the 7 days overlay of 4.5, anything higher than 4.5. The only thing worth mentioning, as usual, is the fact that the San Andreas fault is completely blocked, completely locked. This has the effect that earthquakes over here, this movement will be compensated from this side of the Ring of Fire and also in South America. So if there are conditions, major space weather conditions, this means that any major activity on this side on the Ring of Fire will have a spillover effect on these tectonic plates, on these fault lines, and also in South America. But over here, this region, San Andreas fault, is overdue, like I always say it. Overdue for 17 years for a big one, and I do believe at some point it will happen. It will either be triggered by a big earthquake somewhere in the world or a major space weather event. So switching to the weather, let's take a look at the 10 millibar section. We can see that the polar vortex is this time located above the Arctic, where it is supposed to be. However, if we look at the 250 millibars, we see that it is still very low in speed and thus high in amplitude. And this translates itself with the jet stream reaching in places where it shouldn't be. For example, here it goes all the way almost to Spain, when in reality it should be here. This creates, and over here, for example, it goes straight into the Arctic. This means extreme weather. In Belgium, for example, we have today and the following day only 8 degrees of maximum temperatures, and these are typically values that we see in December, in winter. So to see this in April, of course, is not really normal. Okay, looking at the Arctic oscillation, we see indeed it is slightly negative. This could partially explain the slowdown of the jet stream, but even so, not really, because these are typical. This is a typical pattern that one would expect when it is really at -5 or even -4. When it is really when it reaches high values in the negative territory. Here it is only slightly negative. This also indicates that there might be a change in the coming days. If we look at the temperature itself of the polar vortex, we don't see any major sudden stratospheric warmings. The temperature is rising steadily. However, if we look at the geopotential height, we do see a small area in orange and red, and this is the reason why we have a negative Arctic oscillation. However, anything above the 300 millibar is in blue, and this means that in the coming days, and I'm making a prediction that it will actually that the Arctic oscillation will become positive again when we reach this over here, so slightly over the half of April. And if I have to put a date on it, I will say that it will be positive again starting from the 22-23 April. And then, of course, we will see in the mid-latitudes, especially in Europe, the return of warm weather, hopefully, unless it stays negative. But I don't think so, because when I look at the geopotential height, it indicates that the Arctic oscillation will become positive again. And like I mentioned, this will be around the 22 or 23 of April. Looking at the temperatures, it is as you would expect. I'm going to put the anomaly because this is easier to see. When we put the temperature anomaly, we can clearly see that Europe is having cold anomalies, like I mentioned it earlier. And this will be sustained until we actually reach, like I said, around the 20th, 22, 23. Here the prediction actually shows that warm weather will be starting around the 18th, but I'm not so confident about this particular prediction. Could be true, but in my opinion, it will actually be a few days after we reach mid-April. So the 20th, 22, 23 is when warm weather will come back to Europe. So we'll have to see what happens. But if the Arctic oscillation goes into negative territory all the way, we will have sustained cold weather, can be helped. Okay, we are nearing the end of this video, and as usual, if you liked it, press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. This is very important because otherwise you will miss any future content. And as you can see, I'm back in business. I will be making videos regularly, not every day, of course. This is because of my internet connection, my internet plan. It is so-called unlimited, but they only give you 35 gigabytes of data. So I have to be careful not to use it all at once. So I will be making videos, I think, once every 2 days. I might do it following each day if there is a major event, but right now this isn't necessary. So let me think the last time. And cite a quote. Oh yes, I think it's number 29 if I'm not wrong. Who gossips with you will gossip of you, obviously. If somebody comes to you and he speaks ill of somebody else, evidently he will do the same thing when he speaks to somebody else, but this time about you. So beware of people who gossip, who say bad things about other people, because they will do the same to you. Okay, this is the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I guess I see you another time. Take care, my friends, and stay safe. Bye.